I was an A-rank alpha, and so was Joseph, an S-rank alpha. Actually, rumor had it we were sworn enemies, the kind who wouldn't rest until the other was dead. But after my family went bankrupt, Joseph spent tens of millions to buy me back. Everyone said I was done for, but behind closed doors, Joseph held me like an abandoned puppy, whispering softly in my ear, "Didn't you say you'd marry me once I presented as an Omega, Thomas? Just pretend I'm one." Holding my aching waist, I snapped back, fuming. Who the hell's ever seen an Omega that's 6'3" with stamina that could put an athlete to shame? 1. After the bankruptcy, so-called friends betrayed me. I became nothing but a toy for others to mess with. Drugged with something strong, I was dragged like a soulless puppet into an upscale suite at Zwinscher Hotel. Well, is this really Thomas? No wonder he's an A-rank alpha. Connor, your 20 million didn't go to waste. Used to act all high and mighty, and now he's lying here looking like a street tramp. Honestly, this is driving me crazy. The room was loud with familiar faces. Some used to call me brother, others always kissed up just for a chance to be close. And now I was at their mercy. The drug was messing with my head, and the mix of unrestrained pheromones, alcohol, and smoke made my stomach turn. Still trying to glare at us, Thomas, Connor, clearly leading the pack now, walked over and removed the gag from my mouth. He grabbed my chin, grinning disgustingly. "Maybe you don't know this, but the way you glare, it's kinda sexy, gets the blood pumping." I almost puked. If I wasn't tied up, I'd knock that smug look right off his face. I tried to curse him out, but my body was shaking uncontrollably. I bit my lip hard enough to draw blood, just to keep from crying out. Connor's face twisted with excitement. He burst out laughing. "Back then, I followed you around like a damn puppy and you never even looked at me. Didn't expect this. Ha!" The high and mighty young master brought down to this. He yanked my hair and forced me to kneel in front of him. My fingers moved to the switch on the bracelet around my wrist. If this was how it was going to end, might as well take them all down with me. Then, bang! The door flew open with a deafening crash. The whole room froze. Connor's hand loosened its grip on my hair, and the next second, he was kicked clear across the room like a rag doll. My heart leapt. Who's the hero saving me from this hell? I looked up, and the hope in my chest immediately fizzled out, because the person standing there was none other than Joseph, my so-called nemesis. 2. Connor, bleeding from the nose, staggered up and cursed, "Which dumbass wants to die? I'll break your damn legs." "Oh, really?" Joseph lifted an eyebrow, smiling coldly. "I'm right here, let's see you try." The pressure from an S-rank alpha was suffocating. Even a casual glance from Joseph was enough to freeze the air. Connor stiffened immediately. His cocky attitude vanished, replaced by a groveling smile. "Oh, it's you. Sorry, my bad. Didn't recognize you. Thought you were still in the States. What brings you back so suddenly?" Everyone in that room knew Joseph. In fact, they weren't just acquaintances, they used to mock and bully him. Connor was the worst of them, but after Joseph presented as an S-rank alpha, he clawed his way up with ruthless efficiency. In just a few years, he built an empire and became one of the most powerful young businessmen in Linhai. All those people who once looked down on him, now they were wagging their tails behind him. Connor must have forgotten how he once laughed behind Joseph's back, calling him a low-born bastard not fit to show his face in high society. Shameless. Joseph didn't say a word, his face unreadable. Connor, trying to be clever, added, "Oh, I get it. You came back just to deal with Thomas, didn't you?" I twitched at that. Connor was full of shit as usual. Sure, Joseph and I weren't exactly on friendly terms before, but the Joseph of today, no way he'd drop everything and fly across the world just to mess with someone like me. I'm not that important. What? Did Connor think everyone was as petty and twisted as he was? I laughed coldly to myself. Nice job, Connor, really nailed that bootlicking straight into a landmine. Joseph ought to give him another kick and shut that disgusting mouth for good. But before I could finish the thought, Joseph said, "Yeah, I came back just to deal with him. Got a problem with that?" My eyes widened. Connor's smile faltered, but he kept groveling. "But I already paid for Thomas." Joseph didn't even glance at him. "How much?" "Tell my assistant." Then he looked straight at me, his voice low and unreadable. "After all, I flew back just for this. Connor wouldn't want to ruin something I've waited years to do, right?" 3. Under the stunned gazes of Connor and everyone else, Joseph took off his coat and draped it over me. He even bent down and gently pulled me into his arms. The scent of his cologne lingered faintly on his body. No trace of pheromones leaked from his suppressant wristband. Compared to that mutt Connor, Joseph's scent was surprisingly pleasant. I pushed weakly against his arm to show resistance, but the effort was so feeble it looked more like I was flirting. Joseph lowered his head, his breath brushing my ear as he murmured, "So impatient already?" A collective gasp sounded around us. Someone muttered, "With someone like that, is this even punishment or just a reward?" It's true though. That jerk Joseph had gotten even more handsome over the years. Just one lazy glance from him made my insides tremble. Maybe it was the drugs messing with my brain, but even now, in this ridiculous situation, I was noticing how his looks had leveled up. "Joseph, could you not lean in so close? It's making my teeth itch." The moment those words slipped out of my mouth, I startled even myself. I shut up immediately and swallowed the rest of my thoughts. I'm an alpha, how could I be making that kind of sound? "Thomas." Joseph suddenly tightened his grip on my shoulder. He looked at me seriously, like he was finally seeing me as a person rather than some object. He asked in a low voice, "Would you rather come with me, or stay here?" He glanced meaningfully at the crowd around us. "Would you rather let these degenerates mess with you, or leave with me? You've got 3 seconds to decide." I didn't respond within 3 seconds, so he took it as consent. With one arm around my back and the other under my knees, he carried me up like I weighed nothing. First time being carried bridal style in my 20+ years as a tough alpha. Not gonna lie, it felt weird. Wasn't he here to punish Thomas? Why does he look like he's rescuing a lover? Someone whispered as we left, "Don't you know the history? They once fought over the same Omega." Thomas even broke Jacob's hand back then, using his family background. But now, their positions have completely reversed. Payback's coming. Yikes. I suddenly feel sorry for Thomas's back. I heard S-Class alphas are intense. He's not gonna end up in the hospital, is he? Jacob flew all the way back from Country M just to deal with him. Clearly, he hates him that much. The best punishment for an arrogant alpha like Thomas is crushing his pride. Even with my muddled mind, I rolled my eyes, raised a shaky hand, and gave them the middle finger. With a hoarse voice, I snapped, "You all talk too damn much. Seriously, can't they gossip somewhere the victim isn't present?" Yeah, Joseph and I had fought over the same Omega, but I never laid a hand on him. Okay, he was the one who punched a wall and broke his own damn hand. 4. Joseph took me back to his seaside villa. On the way, the heat burning through me left my mind completely fogged. The driver kept sneaking curious glances at us, well, at Joseph. Really, after all, he was an S-Class alpha, not someone people encountered every day. I kept shifting in Joseph's lap, not entirely in control of myself. He pinned me down with one arm across my back and held my hand firmly to keep me from doing anything inappropriate. I let out a frustrated whine and bit down lightly on his arm. Joseph froze for a moment, his voice raspy. "Thomas, you're asking for trouble." I didn't have time to think about what that meant. The car had stopped smoothly in the underground garage. Joseph easily lifted me out of the seat and into his arms, carrying me like I weighed nothing. At that point, I was basically slumped against him like a lazy koala, my lips smearing a trail of drool across his neck. If I had been even a little more clear-headed, I'd have bashed my head against the wall from embarrassment. But in that moment, I was shameless, just focused on chasing relief. He took me straight into the villa and into the bedroom, tossing me onto the bed, not gently. My already hazy mind spun even harder from the impact. Joseph adjusted the settings on the suppressant band on his wrist, fully containing the dominant energy of his pheromones. He stood at the edge of the bed, looking down at me. "Thomas, if I hadn't made it in time tonight, what would you have done?" He removed the wristband from my arm. "This was your backup plan." His face was hard to read in the dim light. He leaned closer, his voice low. "Thomas, you don't have another choice now. I'm the only one who can help you." I couldn't catch half of what he was saying. All I knew was, he was taking too long. I was desperate. I grabbed him by the collar and kissed him hard. "What? Aren't you a man? Then stop stalling and show me what an S-Class alpha is made of." When I'm not in my right mind, my mouth tends to act on its own. Joseph grabbed a handful of my hair and forced me to look up. His eyes were dark and dangerous. "Thomas," he said softly, "don't regret this." "Oh, regret?" I regretted it all right. Joseph wasn't human. The night felt endless. By the time the effects of the suppressant faded, I managed to shove him aside and get out of bed to find a bathroom, only to take one step and nearly black out from the pain. My whole body flushed red in shame. Gritting my teeth, I growled, "Joseph, you absolute jerk. Even if this was revenge, did it have to be like this? I came back with you, didn't I? Couldn't you at least show some restraint?" Honestly, given the choice between facing Connor and his cronies again or dealing with Joseph, I'd still rather be with Joseph. Apparently something I said set him off. His expression darkened as he grabbed my ankle, his voice cold. What? Use me and toss me aside? I was just trying to go to the bathroom. Man! But he didn't give me the chance to explain. Instead, he growled, "Forgot your place already?" My mouth moved before my brain. "What place? Your servant." His expression turned frighteningly cold. "Oh, that's how you see yourself," he said. "Then let me make it real." He didn't give me a moment to recover, pressing his pheromones deep into my glands, again and again. "Thomas, Thomas." He called my name over and over again, as if trying to etch it into his soul. If I didn't know better, I'd think he was in love with me, which made no sense. He'd stolen every person I ever dated. "I can't take this anymore. Joseph," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes as sweat dripped from his chin into mine. "Didn't you say you were my servant?" He whispered. "This is just the beginning. The night is still young." I finally passed out just before sunrise. Even in my dreams, that jerk haunted me. In the haze of sleep, someone whispered into my ear, "Thomas, you'll never escape from me. If you try, I'll chain you down for good." And all I could think was, "Damn it, you were the one who took my lovers and made me the fool. I never even hated you for it, but now you want to chain me up like some dog. Unbelievable." 5. Although utterly exhausted, I slept in a hazy, half-conscious state. In that daze, memories of Joseph and me kept replaying in my mind. Back when Joseph and I first met, he hadn't yet undergone his differentiation. My first impression of him was that he was very handsome but looked frail and pale, like he was suffering from malnutrition. Later, I learned he was an illegitimate child who had been abandoned and only acknowledged by the family at 18. But the family didn't really care about him, they only brought him back to appease public opinion. Connor and his group of opportunists, knowing Joseph's background, bullied him to curry favor with the legitimate heir, Jacob. They threw away his textbooks, slipped dead rats into his drawers, and once cornered him in the restroom, calling him a disgraceful illegitimate child. They even burned him with cigarette butts, and some tried to take advantage of him because of his looks. I couldn't stand it. I put my arm around Joseph's shoulder and stood in front of those bullies, fiercely declaring, "From today on, Joseph is my half-brother. Anyone who messes with him messes with me." Sure enough, they scattered immediately and promised, "Thomas, don't worry, since he's your brother, he's our brother too." Joseph's personality was extremely cold. When I tried to help him out of kindness, he wouldn't appreciate it. He'd just glare and say, "Who asked you to be so fake and sentimental? I've always been a sucker for looks." With no resistance to handsome people, Joseph happened to fit perfectly within my ideal. So even when he was rude to me, I didn't get mad. In fact, I teased him right back. "How is it fake? I'm being 100% sincere about wanting to be your friend." "Okay," Joseph snorted, a suspicious blush creeping up his ear. I thought Joseph was ridiculously cute. By then, I had already differentiated into an alpha, so I said without thinking, "If you ever become an omega, I'm going to chase you." That one sentence offended Joseph again. He blushed fiercely and cursed, "Thomas, you shameless." I scratched the back of my head. "I'm serious. How is that shameless?" Joseph ran off with his face bright red. No one in class wanted to sit next to Joseph, so I volunteered to be his desk mate. "Hey, new desk mate, nice to meet you." I greeted him with a bright smile. He turned his face away and muttered quietly, "No one wants to sit with you." But I clearly saw his ears turn crimson and the corners of his mouth twitch up. I stifled a laugh. "You're clearly happy. Why always say the opposite? You'll scare off any future partner with that attitude." Joseph tossed his homework into my lap and growled, "Why don't you focus on raising that terrible grade of yours first?" I was so touched I almost hugged and kissed him. "Ah, desk mate, you're the best. Even my dad never cared about my grades this much." Joseph's mouth twitched, probably shocked at my shamelessness. Before Joseph differentiated into an S-class alpha, we actually had a good relationship. He was sharp-tongued but kind-hearted underneath. Once, when my dad got into trouble and almost got kidnapped on the way home, Joseph showed up just in time to save me. The kidnappers were professional thugs, and Joseph and I were just two 18 or 19-year-old kids, almost getting beaten. "Joseph, this isn't your fight. You should run away. We have no status or connections. I can't let you get hurt for me." 6. At that moment, one of the thugs raised a steel rod to hit me on the head. Joseph threw himself in front of me, blocking the blow with his arm. Sweat poured down his temple as he gritted his teeth. "Thomas, at a time like this, can you shut your mouth?" Luckily, my dad and his men arrived just in time to rescue us. I was mostly bruised but unharmed, though Joseph's arm was fractured from blocking the hit. I was so guilty my eyes watered. I clenched my teeth and vowed, Joseph, I'll take responsibility for you and treat you well for the rest of my life. Joseph looked at me with a plastered arm, his dark eyes flickering slightly. Thomas, you said that yourself. I was surprised he didn't scold me. Then, slowly, I started to feel happy. I thought, if only he would become an Omega, I would definitely marry him. But less than a month later, Joseph did differentiate, not into an Omega, but into an Alpha, an S-class Alpha at that. His family started to take him seriously and even arranged a marriage for him with an Omega. By the time Joseph was 22, he was engaged and would marry after graduating from university. He might even become the next head of the family. Such a family meant Joseph's marriage wouldn't be his own choice. I felt a little sorry for him. I thought, well, marrying him isn't possible, but at least we could be lifelong good brothers. But I didn't expect his father to come to me, telling me to keep my distance from Joseph. He looked down on me and said, an S-class Alpha like Joseph has to be perfect in every way. No scandals about liking other alphas can be allowed. My heart skipped a beat, but I explained calmly, we're just normal friends. Uncle, maybe you're being too sensitive. His father chuckled. I know you're friends, but others don't see it that way. So I want you to keep your distance and not cling to him all the time. He is outstanding, no doubt, but if he becomes too rebellious, I wouldn't hesitate to remove his glands and let his younger brother inherit the family. I thought he was ridiculous, but more than that, I was angry. Joseph was his son, not an object, and yet he openly talked about removing his glands, without me trying. Joseph and I naturally drifted apart after he became an S-class Alpha. He was busy with studies and family business. No time to hang out every day. That summer, I planned to start a relationship to bring my heart back to normal. The class monitor, who always pushed me to submit group assignments on time, seemed like a good choice. He was patient, handsome, and just my type. Plus, he could help keep me on track with studying. So I started pursuing the class monitor. It didn't take long before the school knew about it. Joseph found out too, and the night before school started, he came downstairs to ask me, Thomas, do you like Hunter? 7. The early autumn evening was already a bit chilly, with a light drizzle falling. He was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt. I frowned and took off my jacket to drape it over his shoulders. We used to be able to swap jackets freely, but now mine looked a little small on him. Only then did I realize he'd grown noticeably taller after differentiation, his shoulders broader and more solid. I had to look up to meet his eyes. It's raining. Why aren't you using an umbrella? I asked. His face darkened, and he repeated a question I'd been dodging. Do you like Hunter? I hesitated for a moment, then said, yes, I like him. Joseph sneered coldly, threw my jacket back at me, and walked away without looking back. My heart felt like that jacket tossed aside by Joseph, drenched by the early autumn rain. At 18 or 19, we were arrogant and awkward, clearly caring deeply but unwilling to give in. So though we had once been close, we gradually drifted apart. After school started, Hunter rejected my confession, saying he already had a boyfriend. Honestly, I wasn't upset by the rejection and even smiled. Oh, really? Then I wish you and your boyfriend a long and happy time. That should have been the end of it. But Hunter's boyfriend turned out to be Joseph. Everyone knew I was openly chasing Hunter, and when Hunter ended up with Joseph instead, I felt my pride was severely insulted and I was furious beyond reason. I could have accepted Hunter being with anyone else, but it had to be Joseph. No one but him. I had no outlet for my anger, so I confronted Joseph, but he was even angrier than I was. His eyes read, you like him so much? Well, I won't let you get what you want. I was so furious that steam seemed to come out of my ears. I yelled at him, damn it, I treated you like a brother and was honest with you, and you treat me like this? Joseph clenched his fist at his side, veins bulging on his arm. Who the hell cares about being brothers with you? He spoke harshly, and I was just as angry, snapping back. So now that you're an S-class Alpha, you look down on me? When no one paid attention to you before, you didn't say you didn't want to be brothers with me? He slammed his fist into the wall behind me, skin splitting and bleeding at the knuckles. It must have hurt a lot. I don't care if I'm S-class or not. I don't want to be brothers with you. His words stabbed my heart. Maybe his father was right. We really should have kept our distance. After that unpleasant fallout, our relationship hit rock bottom and never recovered. Later, every Omega I liked was poached by Joseph. After wearing so many green hats thanks to him, everyone knew we didn't get along. The family sent him abroad to study while I stayed for graduate school. He took over the family business after graduation, becoming one of the youngest top entrepreneurs in Linhai. Meanwhile, my family went bankrupt. and before finishing my graduate degree, I fell into a pit of despair, becoming nothing more than someone others could look down on. I showed up before him in the most pitiful state imaginable. Life is truly unpredictable. 8. I slept until the late afternoon before waking up. Joseph was nowhere to be seen. The messy room had been cleaned, and I was fresh and clean. I vaguely remembered Joseph had carried me to take a shower. Looks like he still had some conscience left. I went downstairs looking for food, and just then Joseph's butler brought a bowl of porridge and some light dishes. He smiled kindly when he saw me. "Thomas, you must be hungry. Jacob specially instructed me to prepare this for you." I glanced at the food. It was all things I liked. I furrowed my brow and thanked the butler. "Thank you, Joseph." The butler quickly interrupted. "He went to the company. He might be late tonight. If you want, I can send the driver to take you to the office." I thought maybe he misunderstood my relationship with Joseph. We had been friends, even enemies, and now, I wasn't sure how to define it anymore. Maybe just a little pastime when he was bored. "No, thank you." I sipped the porridge and chose my words carefully. "I won't disturb him at work." The butler smiled warmly. "You won't be disturbing him. If you go, Jacob will only be happy." I nearly choked on my porridge. The butler went on about Joseph, acting as if I were Joseph's fiancé. "Joseph's always been thoughtful, and there are many things he wouldn't tell you, so you probably don't know. You really mean a lot to him." I couldn't help but clarify. "You probably don't know. Our relationship isn't what you think. It's complicated, but you'll understand eventually." The butler shook his head. "Thomas, it's you who can't see clearly." That meal left me with mixed emotions. While sober, I wasn't sure how to face Joseph. I couldn't tell whether Joseph bringing me back from the mansion was out of pity or for revenge. I couldn't figure it out, and my head hurt. I even thought about sneaking away, but my current state didn't allow it. Joseph came home late that night. I was almost asleep when suddenly the other side of the bed sank, and a warm body hugged me from behind. He still had a slight dampness on him, probably just finished showering. I froze and didn't move or open my eyes. I had planned to ask many things, but now I couldn't find the words. When I don't know what to do, I usually pretend to be asleep, but Joseph didn't want to give me that chance. "I know you're not asleep," Joseph said. I was about to fall asleep, so I woke you up. His voice sounded gentle in the night, no longer the fierce tone from last night. I lied casually. "Not really. I'm a light sleeper." Joseph looked like he saw through me. "Want to ask why I brought you back? You've been worrying all day, right? Have you figured out the answer?" 9. There was no way I had figured out the answer. I'd known Joseph for so many years, yet it seemed I'd never truly understood what was on his mind. "It's okay if you haven't figured it out yet. You have plenty of time to think," Joseph said, his warm lips pressing against my scent gland, making my body tremble uncontrollably. Then he continued, "Thomas, I can clear your family's debts for you, but on the condition that you stay by my side forever." "Okay," I replied, "I can do that, but can I go back and finish school? Even though my grades aren't good, I still don't want to be illiterate." Joseph paused, seemingly surprised by my answer. "That's fine. You can do anything you want except leave me." So I stayed by Joseph's side. Because of family troubles, I had dropped out of school 3 months ago. Joseph arranged for someone to restore my enrollment. I went back to school. "Thomas, it's good to have you back in class," Landon whispered during lunch at the cafeteria. "You don't know, but during the months you were gone, all kinds of rumors spread around school about you." I smiled faintly. "They're not really rumors. What they say is true. Bankruptcy, my father going to prison, me becoming an escort, first sold and humiliated by former friends, then supported by old enemies. It was all true. When people have mouths, let them talk." Landon carefully watched my expression, noticing I didn't look sad or regretful, but he still asked worriedly, "You and Joseph had a big fight before. Is he giving you trouble now?" "No, actually he's pretty decent. He wouldn't bother me at a time like this." Landon sighed in relief. "That's good." After afternoon classes, the driver came to pick me up from school. Back at Joseph's villa, I went to the art studio. I stayed there until after dinner. When the butler came to call me out, Joseph was as busy as ever. I was alone at the dining table. After dinner, feeling bored, I planned to go upstairs to Joseph's media room to watch a movie, but then I noticed a nearby room with unique decorations. The door was half open, revealing what looked like a small exhibition hall. Curious, I glanced inside a couple of times, only to be startled by the butler suddenly appearing behind me. He hurriedly closed the door and explained, "Jacob usually locks this room. Maybe he forgot today." I smiled slightly, thinking there might be some business secrets inside. It's okay, I was just curious. I didn't see anything important. Don't worry, I won't snoop or spread rumors. Thomas, you misunderstand. There's nothing you can't see, just that now isn't the right time. When Jacob is ready, you'll know. Let's just hope it won't scare you then. I thought to myself, could there be monsters inside? 10. By the time I finished watching a horror movie, it was already 9 o'clock. After washing up and lying down, Joseph came back. He seemed to have been drinking. I got up to make him a hangover remedy, but he suddenly wrapped his arms around my waist. He sniffed at my neck like a puppy checking on its owner, then frowned. Smells bad. I laughed at him. Joseph, are you serious? I just showered and controlled my scent well. How could it smell bad? That alpha's scent stinks. He bit my neck in retaliation. He grabbed your hand and held your shoulder today. Your body is covered in his pheromones. He used to cling to you all the time. He likes you. I know. Only then did I realize Joseph meant Landon. I couldn't help but smile at how stubborn Joseph got when drunk. He's an alpha, and so am I. Alpha pheromones clash naturally. How could he like me? Besides, we keep a normal social distance and both wear rings that prevent pheromone spread. How would I get his scent? You can't accuse people like this. Even drunk. Alpha can't like alpha. Joseph smiled ambiguously, then pinched my chin and kissed me. His kiss was rough and commanding, impossible to refuse, and I didn't want to. Between shallow breaths, he looked at me. Alpha pheromones clash naturally. Then what are we doing right now, Thomas? His dark eyes, usually cold, were now blurred and watery with intoxication, looking a little lonely and pitiful. Before I could respond, Joseph carried me to the bedroom. S-class alphas excel at everything. Thrown into the clouds and then plunged into the abyss. Both my body and emotions were completely under his control. Around Joseph, I always easily lose myself, not because he's S-class, but simply because he's Joseph. S-class alphas can control their pheromones well. As long as I don't want to, you'll never smell mine. Joseph, probably drunk and confused, whispered to me, Thomas, if that's the case, you can just treat me like an Omega. Didn't you say if you differentiated into an Omega, you'd marry me? Then just treat me as an Omega. 11. The next day, I went to school holding my almost broken waist. I even wondered if Joseph's drunken words about treating him like an Omega had been just a dream. If not a dream, who else's Omega acts like that, with such stamina, staying up all night and still going to work refreshed the next day? Landon was shocked when he saw the hickey on my neck. You really are the one Joseph likes. I was curious how he came to that conclusion. I met Hunter at an art exhibition. Thomas, he greeted me warmly. Long time no see. I smiled. Long time no see. The once quiet, shy class monitor had grown confident and cheerful over the years. I thought we'd just exchange greetings and then part ways, but to my surprise, Hunter invited me for a drink. We found a quiet bar. Sorry about what happened back then. Hunter's sudden apology surprised me. It's okay. I smiled. You didn't like me, so rejecting me was normal. But he said, no, I liked you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have kept you hanging so long. I'm the type who keeps score clearly. At first, I thought your affections were just a passing fancy. I warned myself not to fall for you, but your pursuit satisfied a secret vanity inside me, so I kept you hanging, neither rejecting nor responding. After years, his sudden honesty caught me off guard, and I awkwardly laughed. Well, that's not a big deal, but that's not what I want to talk about today. He looked up at me and interrupted my attempt to smooth things over. I want to say, I rejected you back then, but I didn't get together with Joseph. He doesn't like me. He just paid me a large sum to reject you. I was truly shocked, eyes wide as I looked at Hunter. Joseph and Hunter had indeed broken up soon after getting together. Many said Joseph went to great lengths to chase Hunter but changed quickly. What a jerk. But it turned out, they were never really together. Learning this truth after so many years left me feeling complicated. What had Joseph been doing all that for? Hunter continued. At that time, my mom was sick and I needed that money, so I agreed. I couldn't understand his reasons then, but after seeing how he stole every Omega I liked, I think I finally get it. He likes you. 12. Hunter's words hit me like a grenade exploding, leaving me stunned and raw. Before I could respond, he continued, actually, you like him too, don't you? Back when Joseph hadn't differentiated into an alpha yet, you and he were so close, you might not have realized it yourself, but you cared about Joseph far more than you thought. And Joseph, so cold by nature, only acts like a normal 18-year-old boy around you. But after he differentiated into an S-class alpha, Your relationship took a sharp downturn. The secret buried deep inside was suddenly exposed, catching me off guard. I forced a smile, my throat dry, unsure how to reply. Finally, I said in a dry voice, "I'm sorry for dragging you into what happened between Joseph and me, but when I pursued you back then, I really wanted a sincere relationship. I wasn't trying to use you." Knowing clearly how much resistance two alphas would face, I wanted to stop the pain early and get our lives back on track. My family didn't have high expectations for me, but Joseph's situation was different. His birth destined him for a harder path. Although his S-class alpha status brought family respect, if he ever stepped out of line, his father might really erase him and transplant his S-class glands onto the more controllable younger brother. So, we were supposed to stay strangers. Hunter sighed. Honestly, I didn't want to say any of this, but I heard some things. You and Joseph seem tangled up again, and from what I know, you probably haven't cleared the air yet. You act bold and fearless on the surface, but with people you truly care about, you overthink everything. Given your family troubles and past misunderstandings, you definitely won't say what you really feel. And Joseph's complicated upbringing made him a very difficult person, extreme pride and deep insecurity living side by side, so he won't say it either. When I kept you hanging and took Joseph's money, I don't regret it, but since we met, I hope you both can live well. If you can't say it, maybe it's better coming from me, a clear-headed outsider. I said what I needed to say. What you choose to do now is up to you, but I really hope things turn out well for you too. After Hunter left, I still felt dazed. I remembered when I said I wanted to chase Hunter, Joseph's angry visit to my house in the rain, and last night's words, "Then just treat me like an Omega." They were all hidden confessions. Only, back then, I was trapped by societal expectations, now blinded by my own insecurities, too scared to see, too scared to believe. Now, I couldn't wait to see Joseph, to lay everything out and face my heart honestly. I grabbed my phone and hurried out, only to bump into Connor coming toward me. "Hey, isn't this Thomas?" He grabbed my hand. What a coincidence. I brushed off his hand impatiently. "I don't have time to waste on you." His face darkened. "Think you're safe just because you're with Joseph? Weren't you two at each other's throats before?" Connor slipped something into my pocket as he spoke. "You'd be better off with me. I've got a way to take him down. Kill him, and I guarantee you can live freely for the rest of your life." 13. I glanced down and saw what Connor had slipped me. He grinned slyly. His brother who was sent abroad and his stepmother are back. Those old bastards have hated Joseph for a long time and want to take him down. Now you're always with Joseph, right? Just plant this bug and tiny camera secretly in his office and study, then get what you need. Bullshit. I felt my temples throb in anger, unable to hold back. I yanked open his hand and punched him hard. "Connor, I've put up with you long enough. Who do you think you are?" Listen, that night at Zuenscher, if Joseph had been 1 minute later, I'd have blown you to pieces with the bomb in my bracelet. You really think I'm that desperate for dignity? Joseph took me because I wanted him to. When my family fell apart and I was betrayed, the only thing I had for defense was that bracelet with a tiny bomb. If Joseph had been even a minute later, I would have pressed the button and dragged Connor down with me. I wanted to die, until Joseph appeared and changed my mind. After barely escaping death, Joseph still wanted to mess with me without realizing how serious I was. God, he really had no idea how dangerous I could be. Connor was a worthless playboy lost in debauchery for years. One punch from me would have him begging for mercy. I wiped my hands on a handkerchief and warned him, "Connor, if I catch you scheming against Joseph again, next time won't be just a beating. I'm barefoot now, not afraid of you wearing shoes. I'll kill you outright." Connor, clutching his broken teeth, cursed, "Crazy bastard." I smiled. "Yeah, I'm crazy." I took a taxi to Joseph's company. He was in a meeting. It was my first time at his office, and I hadn't met his assistant before, but the assistant recognized me immediately and smiled warmly, escorting me to Joseph's office. Joseph's office was simple, with few decorations. The only thing that stood out was a framed photo on his desk, one of us together. It was taken before our relationship broke down. I was holding his arm, smiling brightly, while he looked stern and unwilling, but if you looked closely, his eyes were smiling. 14. Joseph seemed surprised to see me after his meeting. "What are you doing here?" I said. "Because I missed you. I couldn't wait to see you." He looked deeply at me, then lowered his eyes. "When we get back, I have something to tell you." I had a feeling something was wrong. Thinking of what Connor said, I couldn't help but warn, "Joseph, be careful about the people around you lately." Joseph smiled faintly. "Do you mean the people around me, including you?" My heart skipped a beat. After all these years, he still spoke so harshly. On the way back, I was rehearsing how to say the words I'd buried for so long, unaware that a car was following us. In the moment of the accident, Joseph lunged forward, shielding me tightly. Dizzy, I felt warm, sticky liquid trickling down my cheek. Joseph, my voice trembled. I was less than a tenth as scared as when I was drugged, tied up, and brought before Connor's men. Are you okay? Where are you hurt? Not dead yet. While waiting for the ambulance, I kept talking to Joseph, but his consciousness grew faint. Joseph, don't sleep, you haven't heard me confess to you yet. Thomas, Joseph's eyes closed, lashes trembling, his voice weak. Did you think I was dying and wanted you to pity me? No, it's because I love you. I've always loved you. Did you hear that? Don't sleep, Joseph, please don't sleep. 15. When we arrived at the hospital, my hands and feet were ice cold. I watched Joseph being taken into surgery, then everything went black and I fainted. When I woke up, it was already the next day. The first thing I did was rip out the 4 from my hand, panic-stricken, toss off the covers, and try to get out of bed. Where was Joseph? Was he okay? Joseph's assistant and butler saw me limping out and hurried over to support me. You're still injured and need rest. Why are you up, Joseph? Is he alright? He was seriously hurt but is out of danger now. You can't visit him yet, the assistant said. Go back to your room. I'll notify you as soon as visiting is allowed. Hearing that Joseph was out of danger eased the tight knot in my chest a little. It wasn't until the 3rd day that Joseph woke up and was moved to a regular ward. Because Joseph protected me during the accident, I only suffered some leg injuries and a mild concussion. Nothing major, but Joseph had glass pierce his back, almost hitting his lungs, and his leg was shattered in a comminuted fracture. Even with a successful surgery, he might have lasting complications. I wished it had been me who got hurt, not him. Thomas, why do you look like you lost your husband? If I died, you'd be free. Shouldn't you be happy? Joseph's mouth was sometimes really cruel, but I didn't argue because he was the patient. We stayed in the hospital for 2 months. Joseph was allowed to return home to recover. During that time, he completely cleared out the spies his brother and stepmother had planted in the company. They were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Joseph still couldn't walk on his own and relied on a wheelchair and crutches. He lost a lot of weight in those 2 months. I learned to cook medicinal soups to help him recover. With my careful care, his complexion improved day by day, and his leg gradually healed. The day he finally ditched the crutches, I had prepared a Roseanne candlelight dinner to confess my feelings, but he beat me to it. Thomas, he said, these past few months have been tough, haven't they? Yes, seeing you hurt like that. Your family's debts are paid off. Connor and his group are finished because of this. Even without me, no one will bother you anymore. All those promises about staying by my side forever, just ignore them. After trying it, I realized being an alpha isn't all that. I'm tired of it. You should go. I couldn't believe what he was saying. You're tired of me. I was so angry my head ached. I stared at Joseph and asked, are you sure? Absolutely. He smiled carelessly. If I can find anyone I want, why keep someone who's thinking about another Omega around? I laughed bitterly. Which Omega am I thinking about? Hunter, isn't it? You went to that art exhibition and had drinks together. If I hadn't stopped you back then, you probably would have had kids by now. So when I told him I loved him that day, he didn't even listen. He already knew I had chased Hunter. If Joseph hadn't just recovered from his injury, I would have punched him. During his recovery, I lost my appetite, took care of him day and night, almost worshipping him like a treasure. Now that he was better, he was rushing me out, and saying he was tired of it. 16. I was so angry steam seemed to come out of my head. Afraid I'd lose my temper, I decided to go cool off. Half an hour later, I returned and searched everywhere but couldn't find him. Finally, the butler told me Joseph was in the storage room. Joseph, how blind can you be not to see I love you? I pushed open the door and shouted. Joseph was sitting despondently on the carpet. He looked startled and his usual stubborn expression was gone. He stammered. You didn't leave? I sneered. Where would I go? Stepping inside, I realized the room didn't hold secrets or valuable collections. Instead, it was filled with my photos, from the day we met until now, along with clothes I once wore, the same brand of pheromone inhibitor perfume, earrings I accidentally lost, my backpack, even the bike I liked in high school, all carefully kept by him. Tired of me? I looked at Joseph. Then how do you explain all this? If you're tired, why do you look so sad? Joseph, you coward, is it really that hard to say you like me? I've been so obvious. Are you blind? Even if you were, Didn't I say I love you when I held you that day? Joseph's Adam's apple moved slightly. Thomas, I had to summon a lot of courage to say those things. I didn't want to bind you forever with the debt I owe you. I thought that day was just a near-death hallucination. Now he wasn't stubborn anymore. Like a sad puppy, he said, I'm like a creep collecting your things, stalking you, knowing exactly who you meet and what you eat. I took photos and kept them, even your personal clothes. I smiled. So you really love me? Joseph seemed surprised by my reaction. Aren't you scared of me? No, because I love you. Joseph's breath quickened as he pulled me into his arms. Thomas, I'll only give you one chance to leave. Miss it, and it's gone. That'll make me want to keep you by my side forever. I clicked my tongue. Joseph, if you can't say something nice, at least do something else. I grabbed his tie and forced his head down, then kissed him fiercely. After pulling away, I panted and whispered into his ear, if you like me, say it properly, don't beat around the bush. It really makes it hard to understand. Honestly, I'm pretty crazy too. I want to lock you by my side forever. Joseph's ears visibly flushed red, but his body honestly pressed me against the huge display cabinet. The clothes he wore were placed next to my old things. I was mindful that his body was still recovering and tried not to be too rough, cooperating with him as best I could, but he went crazy. A healthy alpha, nearly fainted several times. S-class alphas are really like wild beasts. Thomas, he cupped my face with his large hands by the floor-to-ceiling window, breathing heavily. I thought he was about to say something I wouldn't like, so I grabbed his neck and warned fiercely, think carefully before you speak. If you say something nasty again, I'll beat you up. I love you. He grabbed my hand, kissed my palm, and whispered, I loved you the first time I saw you. I was stunned for a moment, then said, me too. After all the twists and turns, we finally shared the feelings we'd hidden for so many years. At last, we held each other tightly, deeply in love.